I didn't expect to see him standing on my porch that night, especially not with that look in his eyes. The air was thick with summer humidity, the kind that made your skin feel a little too tight. Thunder rumbled low in the distance, threatening a storm that had been hovering over Charleston for hours. I was barefoot, still in my work blouse, a half-empty glass of wine clenched in my hand, and there he was. Liam Carson, 5 years older, my brother's best friend once upon a time. Now, he was the man who knew exactly how to piss me off, and exactly how to make me come undone. He ran a hand through his damp hair, his t-shirt clinging to his chest like it had been painted on by the weather. His mouth curved slightly like he knew something I didn't. I hated that look, that smirk, that certainty. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. "You didn't answer my texts," he said simply. I scoffed, stepping out onto the porch. Pushing past him, the wood felt cold under my feet. Yeah, that was intentional. He followed me like he always did, quietly, confidently, as if my words were just fog on glass, easily wiped away. "You're still mad," he said. "No, Liam, I'm furious." He stood behind me, just out of reach. "Then why didn't you tell me to stay away?" "I don't need to explain myself to you." There was a pause. The kind that lingers too long, stretching out like a tightrope. My breath caught before I even realized it. "I told you I was mad," I said again, not turning around. "I told you that night, after what you did." He stepped closer. I could feel the warmth of him now, like the heat rising off the pavement. My heartbeat betrayed me, skipping in my chest. "I know," he said, his voice low, "but I couldn't stop thinking about you. About that night." "Don't," I whispered, finally turning to face him. "Don't act like you didn't cross a line." His gaze searched mine for something. Regret, maybe. But all I saw was want. "I did," he said, "but you kissed me back." I opened my mouth, but no words came, just the H of the truth. He stepped closer, too close, and before I could protest, his hands found my waist, gentle and firm. My breath hitched. "Told you I was mad," I said again, weakly this time. "I know," he murmured. Then he leaned in and kissed my neck, soft, slow, like a confession. I froze. Everything in me screamed to pull away, to shove him off and slam the door in his face. But I didn't move. Not even when I heard the creak of the gate behind us. Not even when I realized we weren't alone. My spine went rigid. The creak of the gate was unmistakable, real and close. Liam froze too, lips still hovering near the curve of my neck. His hands tensed slightly at my waist, like his body was caught between instinct and guilt. I pulled back fast. My heart hammered in my chest like it was trying to escape. "Right here. Did you hear that?" I whispered, eyes darting toward the gate at the edge of the yard. Liam turned slowly, his jaw tightening. "Yeah." The gate now stood ajar, swaying slightly in the warm breeze. But no one was there. At least no one we could see. "Was it a neighbor?" I asked, my voice low, trying to reason with myself. Liam didn't answer. He took a few cautious steps toward the edge of the porch, scanning the overgrown hedges and shadows beyond the fence. "This is exactly the kind of thing I hate," I muttered. Arms folded across my chest, not just because of the possible intruder, but because everything about Liam felt like a constant collision. He turned back toward me. "I wouldn't let anyone hurt you." "That's not the point," I said, walking past him into the house. The screen door slammed lightly behind me. I didn't look back to see if he followed. Right here. But I heard the soft creak of the floorboards as he stepped inside a second later. The air inside was warmer, quieter, too quiet. The wine I'd left on the table was still half full, but suddenly I needed something stronger. Liam stood at the threshold like he didn't know whether to stay or leave. Good. Let him feel uncertain for once. "You shouldn't have come," I said, turning my back to him as I busied myself with pretending to straighten the room. "And yet," he replied softly, "I think we both knew I would." I glanced over my shoulder at him. "You think everything is fate, don't you?" "Not everything." "But this feels like unfinished business." I hated how those words tugged at something deep inside me. The part that remembered how he looked at me that night in Savannah. The part that remembered the way his fingers curled behind my neck just before he kissed me for the first time. "You hurt me?" "Liam," I said, the crack in my voice betraying me. "You disappeared after that weekend. No call, text, nothing. Then months later, you just show up. He stepped forward now. No longer tentative. I know, and I was a coward. I thought walking away would be better than staying and making things more complicated. I laughed bitterly. And yet you still made them complicated? Congratulations. We were just feet apart now, the silence between us heavier than the storm outside. Do you want me to go? He asked, voice low. Yes, I said. But my eyes didn't say it. My body didn't say it. And he knew it. He reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my face, like it was the most natural thing in the world. My breath caught again, just like on the porch. I told you I was mad. I whispered again, softer this time, almost pleading. I know, he said, holding my gaze. But I never stopped wanting to fix it. The heart air pulsed between us. My heart aged with all the things we never said, and all the things we said too late. Then the knock came. 3 sharp raps on the front door. Liam stiffened. I turned toward the sound, every muscle tense. It was almost 11 p.m. Neither of us moved for a second. Then again, knock, knock. Someone wasn't leaving. And somehow I knew this night was just beginning. The third knock didn't just echo through the house. It settled in my chest. Liam moved first, stepping between me and the door. His jaw was set, his posture protective. I'd seen that stance before. When his father used to yell across the yard, when he'd step in front of his little brother during their fights. I hated that I still noticed those things. Hated that I still remembered. I'll get it, he said. No, I said quickly, grabbing his arm. It's my house. He looked at me, his eyes scanning mine, searching for hesitation. There was plenty. But I wasn't going to hide behind anyone, not even him. Not anymore. I crossed the room slowly, bare feet silent on the wood floor. The front porch light flickered once, then came back on. The air outside had gone completely still. I peeked through the peephole. No one. Just the porch swaying slightly, and the night hanging like a held breath. I opened the door. Carefully, slowly. The porch was empty. A folded paper lay on the mat, cream-colored. Torn at the edge like it had been ripped from a notebook. No envelope, no name. I crouched and picked it up. The paper was still warm. Someone had just been here. Lamb stood behind me now, his presence a solid wall of tension. What is it? I unfolded the note. You don't know what he's capable of. Don't trust him. The words hit harder than I expected. What the hell is this? I whispered, holding it up to show him. His eyes darkened. Let me see that. I hesitated. Do you know who would send this? No, he said too quickly. Then added, maybe someone messing around. A prank. I shook my head. This isn't a prank. Someone was just here. And this feels personal. Liam's gaze dropped to the paper again. Then to the dark yard behind us, his jaw clenched. You think it's about me? He asked quietly. I didn't answer, because I didn't know. But the seed of doubt had already been planted. I need air, I said, brushing past him. I stepped back out onto the porch and stared into the night. The storm had shifted directions. The wind smelled like rain and something else, metallic. Liam followed silent. He always did. Tell me the truth, I said finally, not looking at him. That night in Savannah you left because of something else, not just because it was complicated. His silence stretched long. Too long. Then I got a call, he said, from my mother. She said my dad was in the hospital again. I didn't want to drag you into it. I thought leaving would keep things simple. I turned toward him slowly. But you didn't tell me. You just disappeared? I didn't want you to see that part of me, he said. The mess, the family history, all of it. My throat tightened. You think I can't handle messy? His eyes met mine then. Finally, completely. I think you were the only thing in my life that didn't feel like chaos. And I didn't want to ruin it. We stood in silence as a soft drizzle began to fall, misting the porch. Then my phone buzzed inside the house. Once then again, I rushed in, heart pounding. Unknown number, 2 missed calls. Then a third. Liam stood beside me now, reading my face. What is it? I stared at the screen as a text came through. He's lying to you. The text glared up from my phone like it was written in fire. He's lying to you. 3 words, and the fragile thread between Liam and me threatened to snap. I didn't say anything at first. I just stared. My hand was shaking, whether from fear, betrayal, or the storm rolling in through the open door. I couldn't tell. Liam reached for the phone. Let me see. I pulled it back. Don't. He stepped away, hands raised. You think I sent that? I don't know, I said, my voice brittle. But someone out there thinks I need to be warned. Or manipulated. He shot back. You ever think about that? His tone lit a match in me. You don't get to lecture me about manipulation. You disappeared, Liam. You show up months later, kiss me like nothing ever happened, and now there are notes and warnings and... God, what is happening? He didn't answer. That silence again. The one I was starting to fear more than any words. I turned and walked into the kitchen, trying to catch my breath. But my chest felt too tight, like something invisible was wrapped around it. And then it started again. That faint ringing in my ears. The pulsing at the base of my skull. That creeping chill that had nothing to do with the rain. Not now. Not again. I gripped the counter, eyes shut, heart pounding. Are you okay? Liam's voice was suddenly close, concerned. Real. No, I whispered. It's happening again. He stepped in front of me, his eyes searching mine. Since when? I looked up at him slowly. Since you left Savannah? He cursed under his breath. You should have told me. You weren't there, I said. You left before I even understood what was happening. The iltemate had been just a word the first time I heard it, an old Gullah term whispered by an elderly woman in Savannah after I collapsed on her porch. She called it a tether, a curse of emotional weight, one soul burdened by another's hidden truth. It wasn't some ghost or demon. It was subtler, heavier, a haunting of the heart. You know what it is, don't you? I asked, staring at him. He didn't deny it. I thought it would fade when I left you, he said quietly. But it didn't. My breath hitched. So it's real, he nodded. I was marked, a long time ago, and I passed it to you that night without knowing. Everything inside me twisted, not with anger, but with that horrible, aching realization. Is that why I still feel you? I asked. Even when you're not around. Liam stepped forward, his voice low, shaking. I've felt you every day. Like my chest was split open. Like the pieces of me stayed with you. I looked at him then, really looked, and I saw it. The tiredness in his eyes, the longing, the regret, and I let the truth break me open. I hate that I still love you, I said. He reached for me then, and I didn't pull away. His hand slid into my hair as I pressed into his chest, and for a moment we didn't speak, didn't breathe, we just fell into each other. His mouth found mine, not rushed, not demanding. It was slow, painful, like we were trying to rewrite time with each kiss. His hands moved carefully along my waist, not claiming but remembering, and when his lips brushed down to the hollow of my throat again, I didn't stop him this time. We stumbled to the couch, still wrapped in each other. The rain tapped gently on the windows, as if the storm was holding its breath too. Our bodies didn't rush. They listened. It wasn't just heat. It was need. It was the weight of two people carrying the same ache for too long. We didn't speak again for a while, but we didn't have to. And afterward, when he lay beside me, his hand on my ribcage, feeling the rhythm of my breath, he whispered something I'd never forget. The iltemate doesn't bind people who don't love each other. I didn't sleep. Not really. Liam's hand stayed on my side the entire night, warm and steady like an anchor. And every time I closed my eyes, I kept hearing his words. The iltemate doesn't bind people who don't love each other. I should have felt peace in that, but it only raised more questions. Like why it hurt so much, why someone was warning me, and why the weight between us felt like it was only getting heavier. The rain had stopped sometime after midnight. Morning light crept slowly through the curtains, soft, golden, hesitant, as if unsure it should even be here. Liam stirred behind me. I felt his breath on my shoulder before I heard his voice. You're awake. So are you. His hand moved, gliding gently along my arm, slow and warm, fingers tracing the outline of my skin like he was still memorizing me. Do you regret last night? He asked, quietly. No, I said. Do you? He pulled me closer, his chest pressed against my back, lips brushing my shoulder like an answer. I never stopped wanting this, he murmured. I turned to face him. The light caught his face just enough for me to see the lines under his eyes, the slight swell in his lower lip where I'd kissed him too hard last night. You don't get to disappear again, I said softly. I'm not going anywhere. His hand cut my jaw gently, thumb tracing my cheek, and then he kissed me again, slow but deeper this time. It wasn't a kiss of apology. It was a promise we moved together slowly, instinctively. His hand slid under my shirt, not hurried, not claiming, but careful, like he was unwrapping something breakable. My body answered his without hesitation. There was nothing rushed between us, no fumbling. Just quiet intensity and the kind of closeness you don't fake. His forehead pressed to mine as we breathed together, completely present in the moment, as if the iltemate had threaded our pulses into one. When it was over, we didn't speak. We just lay there, wrapped in quiet, in touch, in breath. But peace didn't last long. A sound outside made me flinch. Not thunder, not wind, glass, breaking. Liam sat up instantly alert. What was that? I whispered. He pulled on his jeans and grabbed his phone. Moving to the front room with the instinct of someone who's been hunted before. I followed, pulling my robe tight around me. My heart slammed against my ribs as we turned the corner. The kitchen window was cracked open, shattered at the edge. On the floor below it, a stone. Tied to it, a thin strip of paper soaked with dew. Liam knelt and picked it up carefully. He read it in silence, his jaw tightening with each word. What does it say? I asked. He didn't hand it to me. He didn't speak at first, just stared at the words like they were poison. Then finally, it says you passed the iltemate once. You'll do it again. My skin turned cold. Passed it, I asked. What does that mean? Liam swallowed hard, eyes distant. It means you weren't the first. You weren't the first. Liam said it, like a confession that had been scraping against his throat for years. I stood frozen in the kitchen. My hands clenched around the sash of my robe. The sharp scent of glass and early morning dew lingered in the air like the echo of a warning. Liam, I said carefully. What do you mean past it? He sat on the edge of the counter, running a hand through his hair. Years ago, before you, before I even understood what the iltemate was, there was someone else. Her name was Ivy. Ivy. The name hit like a stone dropped into water, rippling across everything we hadn't said yet. We met in Asheville, he continued. I was 22, she was older. Mysterious. There was something about her I couldn't explain. I thought I was chasing her, but it turns out she'd already been marked. And when we got close, it latched onto me. The iltemate. He nodded. She told me it doesn't care about love. It only cares about weight, emotional pain, secrets, shame. It binds two people who are carrying something they haven't faced. And when you get too close, one of you always pays the price. I swallowed hard. What happened to her? He looked down. She left. After we crossed a line. A few weeks later. I found out she checked herself into a hospital out in Boone. She claimed she was hearing voices, seeing shadows. She thought it was possession. Was it? I asked. No, he said. It was me. I passed the iltemate to her, and when she broke, it came back to me. Only heavier. My chest tightened. So it took your weight, he said gently. And now we're tethered? I backed away slowly, like the air itself had grown too thick to breathe. Is it killing us? I don't know, Liam said. But someone out there clearly wants us apart. Someone who knows the curse better than I do. I looked at the shattered window again. The cold wind creeping in through the crack. The soaked note. We need to go, I said suddenly. We need answers, and we can't get them here. He didn't argue, because he felt it too, the shift, the pull, the thing inside us growing heavier by the hour. We packed quickly. I didn't overthink it, just the essentials. Clothes, phone, keys. A notebook with the old woman's name from Savannah, the first person who ever mentioned the iltemate to me. By noon, we were on the road. The car sliced through southern backroads. Silence thick between us, but not empty. It was full of everything we couldn't yet say. Hours later, we stopped at a roadside motel on the Georgia border. A battered blue sign flickered above the lot. Red Pines Inn, vacancy. Inside, the room smelled like dust and lemon cleaner. One bed, one lamp. One night to figure out where we were going next. Liam tossed the keys on the dresser. I sat on the edge of the bed, pulling my knees to my chest. I hate that I still want you, I said into the silence. He turned slowly. Even after everything, I nodded. Especially after everything. He walked toward me slowly, stopping in front of me. His hand brushed a strand of hair behind my ear. I closed my eyes. "I shouldn't touch you," he whispered. "I shouldn't let you," I replied. But I did. We moved together again, this time with urgency, like it could be the last time, like we needed each other to breathe. His lips found mine, desperate and deep, as we sank into the bed, not to escape the curse, but to remember who we were underneath it. It was fire and ache and memory, not lust, need. He held my face in his hands like he was afraid I'd disappear again, and when we collapsed into each other, our bodies tangled under the dim motel light, it felt less like surrender and more like survival. The iltemate didn't pull us apart that night, but someone else might. There are nights your body never forgets. The motel room was quiet except for the hum of the old ale unit and the way our breath echoed into the space between kisses. Liam's hands moved across me like he was learning me all over again, but slower, deeper, with the kind of reverence that made time stretch. I lay beneath him, the faded white sheets twisted around our legs, my fingers tangled in the back of his hair. This wasn't about lust, not anymore. It was about gravity, about healing. The curse between us, the iltemate, no longer felt like a weight. It felt like a connection, a burden, yes, but one we were finally carrying together. "Tell me you feel it." I whispered against his mouth, my breath shaky. He pulled back, just enough to meet my eyes. Every inch of it. His mouth came down again, softer this time, slower. The kind of kiss that says, "You're safe now?" His hands never rushed. They moved across my ribs, my waist, the curve of my thighs, mapping what was already his, but with care, with attention. We undressed each other in pieces, like we were unwrapping a memory, like we were remembering who we'd been before the pain, before the weight, before everything broke. Right here, when he finally pressed into me, there was no sharp gasp, no startled heat, just an exhale, long and low, like we'd both been waiting for this moment longer than we knew. His forehead pressed to mine, his hand locked with mine. We moved slow, like a tide rolling in. No talking, no moaning. Just breath, just rhythm. And when I came undone beneath him, it wasn't a release. It was a rebirth. He followed after, his body shaking with the same HE I carried. We lay there for a long time, skin damp, hearts tangled. His arm draped over my stomach like a promise he never said aloud. Maybe the ultimate wasn't a curse. Maybe it was a test. We left before sunrise. The old woman in Savannah, the one who first mentioned the curse, lived in a peeling cottage tucked behind a crumbling church, half swallowed by moss and time. Her name was Miss Eloise, and I remembered the way her eyes saw too much, even the first time. When she opened the door, she didn't smile. She just nodded. "I was expecting you." Inside. The air smelled like rosemary and dust. She poured tea without asking and pointed to a faded couch. Liam and I sat like kids about to be scolded. "You've been marked," she said, staring right at him. "And now she carries your pain." "She knows," Liam said, "and she still chooses you." Her eyes flicked to me. "Even after the passing?" I nodded. "I do." Her gaze softened just a touch. "Then it's not a curse anymore. It's a contract. What do you mean?" Liam asked. "The ultimate takes root in those who hide their worst truths," she said. "It feeds on buried grief, on guilt, on shame. But once two souls accept their full weight, once they stop hiding from themselves and from each other, it has nothing left to feed on. Then it dies." I asked. "No," she said, smiling gently. "It transforms." She handed me a slip of old, yellowed paper. On it were hand-drawn symbols, ancient and curling like vines. "A closing rite," she said. "But it only works if both you truly forgive yourselves. And each other." We stood in the garden behind her cottage, wind pushing through the Spanish moss. Liam took my hands. "I forgive myself," he said first, "for hurting you, for the mess I brought into your life." I stared at him, the wind lifting the hem of my dress. "And I forgive you. But more than that, I choose you. All of you, even the broken parts." He smiled. "Not big, just enough. Then say it." "I forgive myself," I whispered. "For being afraid. For loving you when I wasn't ready, for needing you this much." The air shifted. I felt it, not in the wind, but in the silence between our hands. A warmth pulsed through my palms, not painful, alive, and then it was gone. The weight, the tether, not severed, released. Miss Eloise watched us from the porch with her tea in hand. "You're close to it," she said. "Most don't. Most pass it along. But you," she tilted her head, "you're the end of the line." And we drove home with the windows down, hands brushing on the gearshift music low, hearts lighter than they'd been in months. In the weeks that followed, Liam didn't vanish. He stayed. He helped me fix the broken window, painted the porch swing, cooked dinner like he belonged there, because he did. Some nights, we didn't talk at all. We just sat in quiet on the porch, the ghost between us finally gone. Other nights, he read to me, his voice low and gravelly against my neck as I fell asleep against his chest. We didn't say forever. We didn't need to. But one night, just after sunset, he kissed me in that same spot on my neck, the same place it had all started, and whispered, "I'm not afraid of our weight anymore. Not if I'm carrying it with you." And that's when I knew this wasn't a story about a curse. It was a story about healing, about choice, about love that stays even when it's hard, because I told him I was mad, and he still kissed my neck and stayed. The end